everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be doing a legs workout, so we're going to be focused on our quadriceps, our hamstrings, our calves, and a little bit of the glutes and the hips as well. To begin, let's start with a warm-up. We're going to start with just some jumping jacks. And if you're not comfortable with jumping jacks, it's a little too high intensity, you can always just step side to side. As long as you're keeping the arms moving, you're still going to feel it. Just keep moving with me, getting the body warmed up. Good, let's just continue with some mid-back turns. Just keeping the gaze forward, we're just going to twist our torso side to side, warming up the back and core. So even though we're working our legs today, we still want to keep the core and the back warmed up because we're still going to use those muscles too. The core is always involved in every movement that we do. And the core does not just include your abs, it's your back as well. Good. Let's move on to some hip circles. Bring one leg up and out to the side, and then back in, and the other side. Always want to start with a dynamic warm-up. We're going to warm those muscles up before we work them. Make sure you're getting that knee up. Want to go into the full range of motion of the hip. Just 2 more each side. And one more. Awesome. We're going to continue some lunge to flies. So you're going to come forward into a lunge and just bring the arms back, opening up the chest, and come up and down into a lunge, open it up, and back up. Now as we do this, we're also introducing some of the movements that we're going to be doing in this workout to our body without weight, so we can get the form down. So make sure you're moving in good form here. You don't have to go as deep in your lunge because it is just the warm-up, but make sure that your knee is not extending forward past your ankle. We want it right above or a little behind. And if you're struggling with that, you just can't get it right, what you can do instead of forward lunges is back lunges. This is going to work the same muscles, but it's a little bit easier with the form. So you can do this until you get it down. Good, just 2 more each side. Good, let's move into a side lunge with a twist. So we'll side lunge over, twist the body towards that knee, back forward, and up. Once again, we don't want the knee extending over past the ankle to the side now. And we're sitting back into those glutes, so we're not folding forward over top the leg. Our chest is still up. We're sinking in, not just the glutes, but to the heel, so that our weight isn't coming forward onto our toes. Once again, we're just kind of introducing these movements to our body before we add weight. For today's workout, if you're just starting out, you can just have a light pair of weights or even no weight at all. If you're a little bit more intermediate, go ahead and grab, if you have it, a pair of light weights and heavy weights that you can switch in between. And I will cue you as to when to grab each one. Just for ease of teaching, I just have 1 pair of weights with me today. But again, I'll let you know when to grab your heavier weights and when to grab the lighter ones. Good, let's just do 1 more each side. Good, now practicing another movement today. Go ahead and bring one leg behind, other leg forward. Both knees are kind of bent. We're going to bring our hands together and just reach down towards the front toe and back up. So we're kind of practicing a little bit of a split leg deadlift movement, and we'll see this come into our workout very, very soon. So not only is the warm-up a great time to warm up the body, let's switch the legs, but it's also a great time to kind of introduce the movements that you're going to be doing in your workout and give your body a chance to get the form down and to get used to the movements that when you do add weights, you're less likely to injure. Also make sure that your warm-up's not quite as general. So a lot of people, to warm up, they just start jogging or doing whatever to warm up their entire body. Just make sure you warm up exactly the muscles that you're going to use. We're going to move on to a bit of a squat and reach. So we'll squat down, touch the floor if you can, and then reach the hands up above the head. Come down, up, and as you reach up, go ahead and squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward a little bit. Make sure you're engaging the glutes the whole time. Sinking back into the heels with this squat, we don't want to be folding too far forward. If you find yourself doing that, just don't reach as far down. Couple more here. Good. And for our last exercise, we're just going to keep the legs wide, arms wide. We're just going to cross over and touch one toe, and then the other side. Good. All right, that's it for our warm-ups. We're going to get started. Get yourself a sip of water if you need it. So to begin, we're going to grab lighter weights. I'm going to start with a single leg deadlift. So this involves a lot of balance, a lot of concentration. That's why we're putting it first. If you need to, if you've never done this movement before, try it with no weights first and then bring weights into the mix. So I'm going to plant my right leg here, bring the left leg back, sort of into like a warrior 3 position. Weights in front. Knee is soft, and we're just going to come down towards the foot and back up. Once again, you can do this body weight if you like. Oop, and if you lose your balance, just come back into it. We're just going to do 10 each side. Good, and let's switch to the other side. Lost my balance on the last one. Good job. All right. Moving on, drop your weights if you need to. Rest, shake it out, stretch if you need to. We move on to a standing side leg raise. Again, you can do this body weight or just with a pair of light weights. Putting the weight on the leg that you're lifting up to the side, planting the other leg, putting all your weight on it, and we're just going to lift the leg up and down. Very minimal rest between the leg lifts. Working the side of the leg here. This is great if you're a runner. You want to make sure your IT band, what runs between your hip and your knee, is nice and strong. Help you avoid injuries, or just for anyone, honestly. You want to make sure we have nice, strong hips to carry us. All right, moving on to some side lunges. You can stick with a light to medium weight here. And just like the warm-up, so we're going to come over to the side, making sure we're sitting down into the glutes, into the heels, not folding forward and above the leg. Making sure the knee isn't extending far past the ankle. We want it to be just right above the ankle. And once again, if you're struggling with this movement, often we work forward and backwards with our legs. We don't do a lot of side-to-side movements. So if you're feeling a little fatigued, go ahead and drop that weight down and just practice it body weight. Believe me, it's not worth the injury. It's better to get the form down and then add the weights in. Make sure you're breathing. Let's do one more each side. Good job. Go ahead and set down those weights if you need to. I'm just going to explain the next movement. We're going to do some squats. Now for squats, we want feet about hip distance apart. And we're going to actually have our toes facing out. And that helps with a lot of people. Often our knees tend to go in, and this helps ensure that that doesn't happen. And we're going to squat back into our glutes, sitting into the heels, chest is up. So we're not folding forward over top those legs, and back up. And at the top, if you want a little bit more, go ahead and squeeze the glutes, pushing your hips forward, so you keep those glutes engaged through the entire movement. Go ahead and try it again. And back up. Now, if you want a little bit more of a challenge here, you can change the position that you're holding your weights. So you don't even really have to take the weight up. What you can do is bring the weights right up in front of your chest, or you can hold them right above your shoulders. It's kind of mimicking a back squat here, like we do with a barbell. Good. Stick with me here. Let's do two more. Good. Now let's move on. We're going to do some reverse lunges. So come to a standing position, legs about hip distance apart. Weights again just right by your side. And you can do just medium to heavy weights here. And you're going to step one leg back, other knee bends, forming a right ankle angle. We don't want the knee extending forward past the ankle once again. And step back up. And the other side. And up. So once again, you don't necessarily have to lift more weights to make this move more challenging. You can just simply change where you're holding the weights. So if you take them up to the shoulders, they're going to feel a little bit heavier. Holding the core tight through all of this. You don't want to be arching the back. And remembering to breathe. Let's do a couple more each side. Also, the back knee, you can either keep it straight or bend it back. I'll show you kind of what that looks like there. It's just kind of the difference between kind of a yogi style lunge and a lifter's lunge. That's really up to you. All right, last standing move, and then we're going to go down to the ground. We've got some calf raises here. I'm going to show you a couple different versions. So the basic calf raise, feet hip distance apart, hands by the side, or once again, you can make it harder, with them at your shoulders, and you're just going to lift the heels up, give a nice hold at the top, try to fumble around like I did, I'll show you again, and come back down, up and hold, and down. My balance is very off today. That's okay, if that's you too, that's alright. So some variations here, because there's multiple heads of the calf muscles, we want to hit them all. So you can keep those feet forward, or you can face them out to the side. Or the one that most people find the hardest, toes in. And here you really have to be mindful about keeping the toes in, because they'll start to creep forward again. So I'm just going to do a couple each way. Do a couple forward. The longer you hold the top, the harder it's going to be. A couple out. All right. Go ahead and set those weights down. Grab a mat if you have it, or if you want it. We're going to come down onto the floor for our last couple of exercises. So we're going to start with some donkey kicks. Now these, once again, you can do body weight, or you can try to kind of grip the weight, as long as it's light, in between your calf and your thigh. And we're just going to lift the leg and pulse it. Pulling the core tight. Good. Let's switch to the other side. If you don't have the weight, you want to go through a full range of motion, kind of lift and bring back down. That's fine too. Or if you have the weight and you're kind of struggling, just holding and pulsing at the top. Good. All right. Down onto the mat. Grabbing a pair of light weights, or once again, just staying body weight. We're going to go into some marching glute bridges. So weights are coming right on the thighs. We're going to lift up into that bridge position, feet hip distance apart, glutes are tight. We're just going to lift one leg and the other. Now this is plenty hard without weight. You do not need to add weight, and especially if you feel like you're kind of sinking down with it, go ahead, drop the weights down right to your side and finish it out. Couple more. Good. Set those weights down, rest down for just a second. Our last move today is going to be a single leg bridge. So we're just going to take one weight and rest it here on our hips. Lift up into that bridge and lift one leg up. And we're just going to pulse it. Good, and let's switch to the other side. If you're struggling with this, drop the weight or just pulse the bridge, keeping both feet down. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. All right, that is it for today's leg workout. If you feel like you can do it again, do another round, do 2 if you're really ambitious, really working those legs. But for now, we're going to cool down, so if you're ready for that, go ahead and join me. Lying back on your mat, bringing your left ankle across your right knee, reach in between to the outside of the leg and pull it in for a figure 4 stretch, stretching out that hip. If you want a little bit more, you can straighten the bottom leg and pull it in. And drop it down, switch to the other side. Big deep breaths, pulling it in. Once again, if you want to straighten the bottom leg, it's perfectly fine. It's more of a challenge. Or if you're comfortable where you are, just stay where you are. Good, and release. Draw the right knee into the chest, left leg down. Reach the left hand to the outside of the right knee, draw it across and twist, gazing out at your right hand. Good, and back to center. And switch the legs. Left knee in, right leg extended. And pull it across. Good, and back to center. Go ahead and straighten that leg and pull it in towards the chest. You can flex the foot or keep it straight. And switch the legs. And release. Bend the knees and draw them both into chest. You can just stay still, or if you want, just rock lightly side to side. And release. Come up to a seated position. Feet together, knees wide, sit up tall. Shoulders are down, opening up the hips. And release. Come onto the hands and knees. Inhale, drop the stomach down, look up. And exhale, round the back and tuck the chin. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Sink the glutes back, reach the arms forward, and relax in child's pose. And roll up. Relax it down. Thank you so much for joining me. That's all for today. I'll see you all next week.